have your kind attention, please? We request you to, these are some of the auspicious moments that we have now. Something which there is a small digression from the program, and before we move into the valediction, and before I request Dr. Khan, HR Khan Sahab to come here, we would like to felicitate our gurus, our ex-chairman and managing directors. We are so grateful to them that Dr. Kotaya, our chairman, Shri Y.C. Nanda, our ex-chairman, Shri Ramarao Sahab, and Shri Chalpati Rao Sahab, both our managing directors, they are amongst us today. And on behalf of all of you and entire NABARD Parivar, we would like to thank them for having joined us, having groomed this organization, having enabled this organization to really be a meaningful institution in India, especially in rural finance. May I request Chairman Sahab again to present a memento to Shri Ramarao Sahab. And our own beloved Managing Director, Shri Chalpati Rao Sahab.
I welcome Dr. P. Kotaya, ex-chairman NABARD, to the dais. I now request Shri R. Amalor Pavanathan, Deputy Managing Director, NABARD, to kindly summarize the day's highlights.
Dr. Bhanwala, Chairman NABARD, Dr. Khan, Deputy Governor, Reserve Bank of India and Director NABARD, distinguished guests, our senior the former managing directors, chairman, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take only few minutes because you have been actively listening to the proceedings during the last two sessions. I'd like to summarize in a very generic way that we talked about 6 elements regarding the topics that we have been discussing since morning. One is related to policies, products, practices, processes, and risk return matrices. So, to come to the policy issues that has been discussed, very serious discussion about the mindset of the policies regarding how the market distortions takes place in agriculture market with the currency valuations, protection of the industry versus the protection of agriculture, the export promotion versus export control, managing the market economy, all such things which are motivated by different interest groups and lobby groups, and also the mindset of formulating schemes for different departments with diversified interests and without any what we call the integrated approach. Also, there was discussions about the mindset of the farmers, which are basically oriented towards financial returns and destructive use of the valuable assets which they had, including soil, water, etc. And also the presence of arbitration of resources, including the water, power, credit, etc., that is being used and applied in agriculture. The volatility in the prices due to various factors were also discussed in detail. The challenging issues were the variability in the measurements, forecasting of the risks involved, and adoption of practices and the products depending on the risk situations, and also the absence of properly designed social safety network in spite of having insurance schemes and also various SOPs that has been given by the government. The absence of realistically designed durable social safety net for the people who are affected by various risks were also discussed. In terms of the product, it was raised the fundamental question for whom and with what purpose, what is the end use and what is the efficiency of the resource use and through various products. The discussions were revolving around the short-term credits versus the long-term credit, diversification of various products, and also insurance products. Apart from the forms of product like warehouse receipts, short-term and other products, the securities and guarantees available for the farmers at various levels, including the challenges for the land lease farmers. And also it was discussing, the panel discussed about the outreach and the deliveries of services, various services. The aggregation model seems to be the final, actually the recommended model by all the participants. So with that, the PO initiatives by NABARD, I think we are well within the expectation of our stakeholders. The processes part, we have discussed about the use of technology, not only the access and the quality of the technology available to the farmers, the credit access and also the financial access including the non-credit financial services, the financial advisory services including the market information, and market access with fairness was also been discussed. The process infrastructure like land records, Digital India, Aadhaar-enabled linkages, mobile technology, the leveraging of all this technology to enhance and ease the process of the product delivery, process delivery to the farmers were discussed very well. And in the infrastructure, there has been discussion about the investment for agriculture, the basic infrastructure, the power, electricity, etc. were discussed. And also the infrastructure in agriculture was discussed when we discussed about the long-term investments in agriculture and the need for increasing the long-term credit for the agriculture. And the short-term agriculture infrastructure products were also discussed, like the market orientation and also the distortions in the market and the need for fine-tuning these the products. Finally, the returns and literacy awareness about various forms of return that should be expected was discussed along with the risk assessment. I take this opportunity because just 2 days ago, the NABARD was accredited as one of the entities. We are the first one to get accreditation in the Asia Pacific region, and I would like to take a few minutes, 1 minute only from you, to summarize some of the discussions that we had with relevance to the topics that we have discussed. There are 2 parts to management of agrarian distress due to calamities. Unfortunately, the calamity-induced discussions were not much held today because most of them were revolving around the credit and the banking related aspects. Therefore, I wanted to just supplement with a few lines on this. The calamity-induced distress requires 2 areas, that is, one is for adaptation and second is for mitigation. Both of these cannot be to a large extent handled at individual levels except for a limited extent. The adaptation starts from the identification and occurrence of the calamities in terms of location, scale, duration and extent to protection of life and properties and incomes. For identification of calamity like cyclones, hailstorms, frost, we need to build up a very strong and robust infrastructure, collect information and data well in advance, and engage in managing the impacts, both at the collective level and at the individual level. We need to establish weather stations, satellites, and capability to processing the data and information very quickly. We also need to utilize the communication networks effectively, including the warning measures in the local languages. Apart from issuing warnings, we should also be aware of and make aware of the possible measures to adapt to the community and by the individuals. Simultaneously, disaster mitigation channels need to be developed both from the individual's benefit like insurance, etc., and at the sectoral and community levels. Even these require accurate and timely information available to all the stakeholders through appropriate media. India did develop technology systems in certain areas like cyclone handling, and we did very well during the last cyclones. However, we need to move the infrastructure to handle causes against the agrarian distress. It is further complicated due to multi-stakeholder, not only among the various departments and agencies, but also across the geographical locations. So we have been discussing about the limitations of insurance policies when we discussed about insurance, because the data is not available at the village level, and where the weather data is used, it is having very limited utility and acceptability. Therefore, there is a need for greater investment in terms of generating the data and information and process this to help people to adapt to these situations. We need to flag this and work towards investing and institutionalizing this mechanism. The second aspect in mitigation is the climate level mitigation requires global initiatives. India is a leading developing country ready to put in required efforts. We have already committed to reduce the emission levels of greenhouse gases by 20% below the level of 2007 and before 2020. The efforts of the central government is commendable in terms of contribution of various missions and preparing for a national and the state action plan for climate change. NABARD is going to integrate with the efforts of the government, both at the central and the national level, in supporting the climate-related mitigation and adaptation projects. That is why we have been very keen to get it accredited in both the GCF, that is the Green Climate Fund, and also we are already accredited in the UN Adaptation Fund Board. So NABARD is accredited with all these, including the National Adaptation Fund. We also have a National Adaptation Fund announced in the last budget. We are also implementing agencies for that. With these three accreditations in hand, and with the cooperation from all the stakeholders, including the state levels, we hope that we will contribute very greatly in the climate-related mitigation and adaptation in the years to come. You all know that NABARD has never lagged behind to respond to any such call of the nation. We mobilize resources and hold courage to meet the challenges by leading from the front. However, it is the collective effort of all the stakeholders, including all of you, that make our leadership successful and stand before you with a humble heart and strong affiliations. Thank you very much.
It is now my privilege to invite Shri H.R. Khan, Deputy Governor, Reserve Bank of India, and Member, Board of Directors, NABARD, to deliver the valedictory address.
There are two issues, maybe. There are multiple issues. I will only take two issues. That's why I use this marker. This priority sector lending, which my colleague did mention, it now extends to the foreign banks. So there's a new opportunity. They will bring some new business model, and we have been discussing in the NABARD board that how you leverage that. Second is the people issue in agriculture finance. The new banks will be coming, small finance bank, cooperative sector, RRB sector. We have people from the training establishment and capacity building institution. I think this is another area. And the third is, how do you formalize informal credit? Dr. Goyal spoke about two monsters, monsoon and market. He forgot about Mahajan. You know, this Mahajan along with BT Cotton, they are the two fellows. They are principally responsible for many of the suicides. BT Cotton, I will come when I come to the R, because Dr. Gulati is not there. I don't want to engage a debate with him when he is not present. So how we did try. 40% of people are still in informal sector despite all what we have done. And mostly small and marginal farmers depend more on those Mahajans. And how do we bring, what is the scheme we have to bring them to the formal system? I think some attempts have been made. We need to move it faster. And on the allied activities, I just had quite a few points. The basic point that non-crop agriculture GDP is less volatile, provides sustenance and backup facility. And I'm very happy that a couple of panelists did speak not only agriculture, agrarian, they talked rural and rural distress because they're all interlinked. There is nobody pure farmer in this world. At least I am not aware of any pure farmer in this. So you have to have a rural sector, and this non-farm sector, NABARD has a mandate. So we have been discussing in the board the two sectors which are largest employers, lot of value addition, and we can also show what is our made in India means is handicrafts and handlooms. I think for a long time we have not, we have slightly moved away from focus. I think that needs to be taken. In the risk mitigation, one area which we have to look at is, of course, all said and done, nowhere crop insurance is successful, other there is a subvention. Let us accept this. If that is accepted, can you move a part of subvention interest to this rather than giving to somebody who is not using or misutilizing, or only March end bubble is happening in agriculture credit growth? And second is whether we can take them to advanced derivatives in terms of weather-based index derivatives so that farmers can get into that. Another risk mitigant, we have been lot of issues we are discussing about Atal pension scheme. Whether we can bring something about all farmers, small and marginal farmers, get a value-added pension other than what others are getting, not after the age of 50, but right from the 30, 35 years onward. So there is a security for him. So how do you work out that pension scheme? Because in a sense, you subsidize, but subsidizing for a fellow to remain in a profession which is not, whose viability and vulnerability is question mark. Of course, marketing we had, I did mention, I want to repeat that point, warehouse receipts, how to make them more popular, and whether you can create a platform like what we are talking of MSME receivables, so whether NABARD can take some role in that, seeing that the negotiable instruments, warehouse receipts can be traded, and there is a platform for that, and how do we involve private sector in MSP. In extension and research, only issue I want to focus is, again, Dr. Gulati is not there. Can we not afford that money to create that type of seeds which our farmers can use and reuse rather than depending on a quote unquote new East India companies? I think it is, and when I talk of Make in India, I think let us make it a major plank of Make in India. Resources other than finance. Very valid point Mr. Mahapatra mentioned. We have also been discussing in the board about this land lease and digitization land records. And now that we have a digital account, digital locker, how you put it and how you see that it is all captured there. And we need to focus along with national security, soil security and water security. Let me end with one final burden on you, a acronym for Kisan. I did talk about farmer. I will not elaborate, there's no time. Knowledge, infrastructure, both hard and soft, sustainability, aggregation, and all this will provide new opportunities. Thank you.
I now invite Shri Naresh Gupta, Chief General Manager, Corporate Planning Department, NABARD, to deliver the vote of thanks.
It's been quite a day, and I'm thankful to Khansa, who has made the proceedings very light at the fagging part of the seminar, where sometimes the energy seems to sag out. I'm sure we all want the farmer to win. That is where the emphasis has been, and that is where the effort has been. But then it's taken so long, we do not know how much long more it will take. But as I take out from today, can I request that all the bankers, as also other stakeholders who are present here, in any important meeting, maybe a board meeting or any other meeting, can we have a regular standing agenda on agrarian distress meeting as also enhancement of farm incomes? If it can be done, it will be a live issue that will remain with the boards. I hope this small request from my side would perhaps be accommodated from the people who are present over here. So friends, I would now like to move on to slight courtesies insofar as the extending of vote of thanks is concerned. I would like to begin with the Honorable Union Finance Minister, whom you are all aware was present here with us for more than maybe 1.5 hours, and we were benefited by his thoughts and the direction that he would like the agrarian process to take through. We also had Captain Abhimanyu, Honorable Finance Minister, Government of Haryana, and we still have Shri P.D. Rai, Honorable Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha. My thanks on behalf of Dr. Banwala to the directors on the board of NABARD, senior government officials of Government of India and the state governments who have come from all parts of the country, eminent speakers and panelists of the technical session, particularly the chairs, Dr. Ashok Gulati and Shri J.K. Mahapatraji, chairmen and managing directors of the various banking institutions, senior officials from the Reserve Bank of India, members of the National Advisory Council on Produce Fund of NABARD, members of Expert Committee on Research of NABARD, MD and CEOs of the state cooperative banks from all across the country, chairmen of the regional rural banks, 52 from all across the country, delegates from the various international and funding agencies, insurance agencies, NGOs, and delegates from other partner institutions. And I would also like to thank our former chairman and managing director who have made it today to be here with us and bless us for the future journey. Friends, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Khan, who is present with us here and who gave the valedictory address, as also our chairman and both the managing directors, because of whom this program was possible and it took the shape that we have seen today it to take. So friends, the deliberations during the day have been extensive and have put the spotlight on the issues as also solutions relating to the agrarian distress of the farmers and ways to enhance incomes. I'm sure these deliberations would go a long way in facilitating policy interventions for addressing the agrarian distress issues at the farmer level. I also would like to thank some of the farmer friends who were there at the stalls outside to brief some of our dignitaries, as also those friends who would have perhaps watched this telecast through the website telecast that was on throughout the day, as also covered by the media during the part of the process. I would finally end by saying thank you for all of you. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you.